Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AM/PM podcast. My name is Manny Coates, and I will be your host, and this is the show where we discuss all things Amazon private label and how to generate recurring revenue streams 24 hours per day during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the show. Get it? AM/PM podcast. As a matter of fact, I recently got a chance to view some amazing artwork on display, and while I was checking out these exquisite pieces, I was making money. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hey, what's up, guys? Manny Coates here, and I have a little bad news. I recorded a video interview with John Zhu, and it didn't record my side of the video. The audio came out great. Everything's there. But what you're going to see in this video interview is just a screenshot probably of my head or something, my body. I don't know, whatever it is. But anytime I'm talking, we'll show that, and we'll post the rest of the video the way it is. But it was a really good interview with John Zhu. I apologize for not having the video side of me, but hey, technical things happen. It is what it is. Enjoy, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, I am here with John Zhu. John is a 7-figure per year seller that has been selling his private label bags and backpacks online for more than 6 years. While he's currently located in Guangzhou, he branches out to over 15 different retail platforms that include but are not limited to, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Amazon global sites, Walmart, Jet, Best Buy, Price Minister, Trade Me. Is that right so far, John?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Trade
Awesome.
Me, yes, from New Zealand.
Trade Me from New Zealand, okay. Mm-hmm. And you credit your success to your implementation of tactics and strategies that specifically create sales for your products, and we're going to be talking about some of those. But besides killing it on Amazon, John, you and your team, you're trying to expand into even more online marketplaces than you're currently in now. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah. So we, where did we meet? Why don't you tell people how we actually know each other?
Well, my name is John Z. I am located in Guangzhou, and I've been selling my own brand's bags and backpacks for more than 6 years. And it is also exactly the same time that I enter into the e-commerce business. And at the first beginning, I don't know how to get into it. I just accidentally get to know a factory who manufactures of handbags and backpacks, and then and then we cooperate together, and I created my own brand to start over. And during the past few years, and I used Channel Advisor for developing my sales channel. The platform you talked about, like Walmart, Jet, Newegg, Best Buy, something like that. In China, not so many sellers can enter into these so many platforms like me at the moment. So it's been 6 years already gone, and right now we have gained like 7-figure sales annually in the past few years, and we're trying to expand to more platforms around the globe, such as Mercado Libre in Brazil, in Mexico, something like that.
That's impressive. So where are your monthly sales right now, volume-wise?
Around like, let me try to pull up I don't know how to say the figures. Like 416,000, maybe. $415,000 US per month, maybe.
415,000 US. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And where would you say, after all expenses, your advertising, refunds, everything, where's your net typically end up being? Where do you like to see it?
It's around like 20 to 25%.
Okay.
For net.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right, cool. Mm-hmm. So, and how many ASINs make up this whole portfolio?
It's around like 250 SKUs, including the child SKUs.
Okay, so and that number, what percentage of that 400 plus K per month would you say is? How does that break down for Amazon versus everything else?
It's around like 70%.
70% on Amazon?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So if somebody's just starting out, if they're listening to this, focus on Amazon initially, and then expand out to the other markets. Is that what you would recommend?
At the very first 1 to 2 years, I don't recommend to do this like this way, but you gotta focus on Amazon first, because other platforms you don't expect much sales at the first beginning. Yeah, so I don't recommend that.
Okay. All right. What were you doing before you got into Amazon? You said 6 years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah. Have been I've been doing a lot of stuff. I helped like UK O2 and Vodafone network companies to OEM products to help them private label products to get promotional gifts such as toys, plush toys, pens, guitars, something like that.
Okay.
And after that, I got a job to do the international purchaser of the frozen food, and it just lasted around like 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How many hours? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have also done the import business, such as the import baby milk powder from Germany, from European countries to China.
Okay.
Yeah, that product's very hot in China 3 to 4 5 years ago.
Baby powder formula.
Yeah,
Okay.
formula. Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you the only person in your company right now working on this, or do you have a team?
Yeah, I have a team around like 30 people, and
30?
I hired several VAs in Philippines and other countries for yes.
Okay, awesome. And how many hours would you say you work on a given day?
I work I work almost like it's not normal hours. It's,
well, how many is that?
Of course.
How many per week would you say? The average person works 40 hours per week. Where are you at?
I've never calculated, because I work in daylight. I also work in nightlife.
Okay.
It's maybe more than 14 hours.
All right, so
I
you're
think.
hustling. You're just grinding it out and building this thing up.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, you've got a company sounds like you're on pace to do well over $5 million for the year, right? So at $400,000 a month. So, how much money did you start this business with, by the way, roughly?
Well, that's interesting, because when we used to enter into the Amazon business, I am the first batch, one of the first batch of the official Chinese sellers in 2012. And no matter what products that we throw into the Amazon, it sells. So I just put like $3,000 to do this, and I've never put any money into it.
Wow, $3,000.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. So you started
with 16 SKUs.
So you had $3,000 to start 16 SKUs?
Yes, and I just sent for the first FBA orders, FBA stock, 45 pieces, 45 units per SKU to FBA, and this is my start.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, all right. So you've got your VAs, you've got a bunch of people. How many people are in your office where you work right now?
Around like 25.
25. And what kind of jobs do you employ 25 people to do?
Mostly they are sales, and for the photographers and the art designers.
Okay.
For Photoshop photos and combined photos, and some other are the social media team. They manage the Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram, something like that.
Okay. All right. How much of your success would you say comes from the whole social media side of things versus just being on a list, being on Amazon, for example, and advertising there?
Mm-hmm. We just simply using Facebook ads and Pinterest ads,
okay,
and as well as call for some influencers to co-op with the events and activities, something like that.
Okay. Do you have an issue? I've always wondered with backpacks and that kind of stuff. I notice if I do a search for backpacks on Amazon, there's a million options. How do you stay competitive and keep your profits at a certain level when it seems like, is competition not crazy hard in driving that price down? Yeah. Of
course. Since 2015, 15 is a very, very important year for all of the Amazon sellers. A lot of Chinese sellers enter into the Amazon marketplaces, and of course, the bags category, I got a lot of competitors, and the competitors I know them all, and they just send a lot of free samples, free gift to the reviewers for exchange of reviews, and they don't calculate the profits, and they just get more and more reviews, and the margin, of course, competition is very strict, and the margins going down a lot since 2015. And after 2015, we started to use the sponsored product ads and the EMS headline search ads to do the ads. And before 2015, we'd never done any advertisement to any platform, any like Google or Facebook. But after 2015, we started to use Facebook ads. But in 2016, Facebook ads. And speaking of the competition, since a lot of competitors come into the Amazon, of course, the margin we already getting lower and lower, and we spend so much money on advertising, and with the influencers go up. So it's impossible for us to maintain the margin at level. So it's a reality. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It gets it can get tough in certain markets for sure. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We decided to jump on a podcast initially because you kind of broke some news to our group. Where was that? Was that in our FBA? Which group was that in?
Yeah, Illuminati Mastermind Training. Yes, I'm your member.
Okay. Oh, I'm trying to remember if it was in the FBA High Rollers or in the Illuminati Mastermind private training, Facebook group. Okay, cool. Yeah. So you were in there and you said, hey, guys, look, there's going to be some issues for a lot of you ordering from China because there's some EPA things going around that are shutting factories down. And I had never heard of this. And I said, you got to come on and talk to people because they might not know and it could affect their whole Q4 sales process, right? Mm-hmm. You want to talk about that? Like what does...
Of course. Well, actually, there's a big meeting in China. It's a government meeting. It's called the 19th session of National Congress of the Communist Party of China. It's the meeting holds every 5 years, and this year is it. It will probably starts from October to November, and it's important to Chinese people. It's important in China during the meeting. So. There is a department called EPA. It stands for Environmental Protection Administration. The department, there is one EPA in every city around the country, and it's basically responsible for making the city clean, making the city out of pollution problem. And EPA has the power to examine restaurants, cleanliness, and it can also examine factories. So such as if the factories have released any toxic air or water, and in the meantime, it's not 100% factories that are running in manufacturing process according to the standard laws. So there's a high chance the factories can get caught by EPA for whatever reason. That's not that they are not doing not enough to protect the environment. It's very important. Of course, they will get noticed by the EPAs during and before the meeting starts, and it's very important right now. So I recommend that you guys would talk to the factories. So how to prevent that? How to prevent the postpone the manufacturing process.
Okay. How long can a company be shut down for during this checking?
No. There is no estimates. It's because of the during the meeting, the local governments actually don't want to expose any pollution problems in their jurisdictions. Mm-hmm. So local EPAs are launching enforcement for surprise inspection to the factories. Sometimes factories get notice before inspection, but sometimes it does not. And if they get caught, and the factories need to be shut down after that, and the factory will be blacklisted by the government. So,
and how many factories are affected? Is this everybody, or is it certain cities?
No, it's not. It's not estimated. It's a China-wide problem. You gotta stick to the factory to talk about it. Okay. Before October.
And it's just random? It's just a random choice?
It's not random. It's not random. And because EPA has the power to examine the factories, and they don't want there's any pollution problems during the meeting. So they will be launching a very strict enforcement for that. So
will every factory be checked then, essentially?
they will get noticed, of course. And if someone just report the factory, and the EPAs will do the inspection without any notice before they come in. So it's kind of high risk for the factories. During the meeting, they open the factory, they keep on manufacturing products, because not 100% the factories they manufacture products according to standard laws or in any standards. So all of the factories, they have some minor problems, bigger problems. So they got to keep an eye on the meeting during the November and October to November. Yeah.
Okay, so after November it's finished? It's just October and November?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We were just talking to a factory last week, and they said that they were going to be shut down, or that they were not going to be doing anything for 2 days, I think, because of some inspections. I assume that was because of this?
Yes, maybe, I think. Actually, different EPAs in different cities, they have different policies, they have different powers, and they will do some actions or not doing any actions based on their ideas, opinions to the China's central government's notice on the meetings, because it's kind of weird.
How can this affect somebody who's here in the U.S., for example, and is importing? Give us some examples of how it can affect the manufacturing process.
Well, I'm not sure if you heard about, in the last September to November, there were the boxes, cartons, and papers. These kind of packaging stuff, the pricing has been increasing like 2 to 3 times, maybe 4 times. You heard about it, but you never know what the problem is. The problem is it traces back to the original core raw materials factories, such as coal, stainless steel, oil, and something like the raw material factories. These factories got inspected by the EPAs. And after that, maybe some factories, of course, they have a very high risk of manufacturing, because they don't manufacture the product, manufacture the raw materials based on the standard laws. So once the EPAs comes in, and they will, of course, suspend. They got suspended, or they stopped manufacturing during the time. So after these raw material factories got stopped or suspended, they will indirectly affect merchandise manufacturing factories, like bags, cups, and something like consumer products factories. Right. They will indirectly affect. So that's why these EPAs guys will affect not only your US sellers, but also the Chinese sellers, of course, around Chinese sellers. They will affect our packaging, boxes, cartons, pricing increase. This is a major impact.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds serious, and it could really affect people, especially going into Q4, because a lot of people have never heard of this, because it happens every 5 years, right? Is that what it is right now? 5 years? Yeah,
every 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if
there's some other major activities. There's a major show. It is on March 15th. It is called World Consumer Rights Day. World Consumer Rights Day, and during the whole March, the China television, the China government's television broadcasting company, the CCTV, and it will hold a show that expose consumers complaints, and as well as the factory's pollution problem. And during that month, a lot of factories got feared about that. They are feared about EPA's inspection, and they feared about the consumers' complaints about that. They're afraid of getting beyond a TV show, because the China television show, CCTV, covers the whole Chinese audience. So it's a great impact.
Okay, so here's a serious question for me then. If I'm dealing with new suppliers, which I am, I'm reaching out to actually several new suppliers for Q4. Some of them are already well into production. But if somebody's listening to this or watching this and they say, hey, look, I've just paid, a large sum of money. Let's say I sent, $10,000 or $50,000, whatever it is, to my supplier. If the supplier gets hit by one of these EPA inspections and something bad happens, could their money be lost? Could it be locked up? I mean, what are your thoughts there?
I think it's very high risk for this kind of situation happened, because there's no insurance, of course, for you, and there's no insurance for the factories, and it's gonna be a great impact.
Would trade assurance work on Alibaba if someone's using that?
No.
That won't help you?
No. We didn't use that.
Oh, you guys didn't use that. Okay. I'm wondering, because I've always kind of preached, hey, your first time using a factory, if you're getting them through Alibaba, then use trade assurance, because it's kind of like a buffer. But I don't know how that works. If the factory just gets shut down, there's nothing you can do, right? Can they shut them down permanently, or is it usually something they can just fix?
Sometimes they will be fixed because they have the relation. Maybe the factory's owners, they have a relationship with the government or with the EPA, and they will use methods, so some kind of methods to get things fixed. Okay. But some of them will be shut down permanently. But of course, A factories shut down, maybe B factories will growing up. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Any final words on that? Because otherwise I have a bunch of other questions I want to get to.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect. All right, cool. Well, I was mentioning Alibaba, and I don't know how much you know about the various different sourcing places, because you focus on just bags. But any suggestions if somebody wants, especially if you're here from the U.S., they want to go out and start sourcing and looking for companies, do you recommend Alibaba or something else? Anything you would recommend there?
Well, actually, I recommend that you come over to China and see a lot of marketplaces and see the direct factories directly, because when you talk to the Alibaba or 1688, you just talk to the person that they sell. They sell the products. They are the maybe not a senior manager or something like that. You gotta get their senior manager or contact information to talk directly with them to get a better price, maybe. And I think it's a better problem. It's a better option for you to negotiate with the factories.
Okay. So come out for like a fair, like the Canton Fair or something like that?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. And there's a lot of fairs around in China, not only the Canton Fair. Yeah.
Okay. Which other one would you recommend? Canton Fair, and what would be a second one?
And there's a show that held in Shenzhen city, and it's a promotional gift. It holds like 3 to 4 times a year, and it's all about promotional gifts or daily use products.
Okay. Do you remember the name of it?
I gotta check out.
No worries if you don't.
I don't know the English name.
Okay, got you. I'm putting you on the spot, but okay, cool. So if somebody comes out there, let's talk about culture a little bit. Would you say it's important for when you visit them, and let's say you go to the Canton Fair and you're talking to them, to maybe try to go to dinner with them or have drinks with them? Or here in the U.S., a lot of deals are made over a social cocktails and dinner and stuff. How does that work over there?
It works very well, and I must say. And after the fair, or maybe after the show, you can just invite them to have a beer or have a KTV, karaoke, something like that, and you can simply just talk with them and
nice karaoke,
widely open. Yeah,
really
widely open. So you can talk with them widely open, no problem. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
It's a great tip.
Awesome. Yes, that is a fantastic tip. Okay, so we're talking about suppliers. Most of the people I know have terms that are 30% deposit initially to get things going, then 70% when they finish before they actually ship it out to here to the U.S. I understand you've got much better terms. You've negotiated some long-term type payment strategies with your suppliers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, of course. Because we've been located in China, and we live in not far as U.S. sellers as you are, and we cooperated with them for long term. That's the number one, and number two is we don't usually change other factories for helping us to manufacture product. So as long as you cooperating with them long enough, and you can just start to negotiate with them. Yeah, hey, you can I have just a little bit, maybe 30 days payment terms once I get the products get the products shipped to the United States, and after 30 days, and maybe like half a year later, or a year later, and you can restart the negotiation. Hey, can I get a longer payment terms, such as 1.5 months, 2 months, because our business is growing very large, and we use the sea shipping for the shipment, and sea shipment is like 40 days, 45 days. It's a long run. So could I have longer payment terms about that? Usually, like in China, we usually can get like 2 months for the payment terms. So I recommend that if you could, you can set up an office in China to let a representative to talk with them. And I'm a Chinese company, and maybe I can get a longer payment terms.
Do you think it's more important, or I shouldn't say more important, is it easier for an American company to actually set up something there in China to negotiate that, or can you still negotiate it from here just as easily?
I've never had that experience of that. If you live in USA, so I still recommend that you set up a company, like maybe, or just an office in China, and let a representative to negotiating with them.
Where would you get where would somebody here who knows nothing about that particular city, let's say, hire a representative that can represent their company to negotiate that?
I think that's not my expertise, because we just sell our own brand specs products.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta find some agency that's doing like that.
Okay. And I know I'm asking the hard questions. I think that's what people like the podcast about, is that, like, you ask these questions. So let's go back a little bit. You said after some time, you said after 6 months you can negotiate even better terms. But how long do you think is the minimum amount of time before you can go from, let's say, the standard 30/70 to saying, hey, we would like to have terms where we pay 30 days after it arrives to port? How long? A year or less?
A year, yes. A year is recommended. A year or 2 years. Yeah. Just because you're cooperating with them long enough, so you can talk with them 1 year later, 2 year later.
What if you ask them? What if you ask your supplier and they say, no, sorry, we're not set up to do that? And they're a pretty decent size. What would you do then?
No. Usually they will accept that, because he knows we can sell the products. We order his products regularly, and he knows we are a good partner. So he usually doesn't reject the proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the terms that you actually negotiate? What percentage of the order are you actually getting the later terms on? Is it 70%?
100%.
100. Okay, so you pay 0% up front?
No, yeah. I don't pay upfront. I don't pay upfront. Yes.
Oh my God.
Because we have been cooperating a longer time enough. Yeah.
Okay, so you're now this is, we're gonna just say this is not normal, guys, for a lot of people. But you can go to them and say, hey, I want to order $100,000 worth of product. You don't pay anything down. You pay everything 60 or 90 days after it arrives to Amazon or wherever it's going. Is that right?
Well, but you have to let them feel you are his major client.
Okay.
Yes, you got large orders, and you know his order. His manufacturing power. How many quantities that can they produce, and how many you order.
Okay.
You can compare with these and leverage with these.
Got it. Okay, so let me ask you this then. So if you have two companies, right, Company A and Company B, and Company A is huge, right, and Company B does almost the same products, but they're much smaller. Would it be better to be a client here in Company B so that you're one of their bigger clients, so that you have that negotiating power?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I've had this scenario where I'm doing, we order 40-foot containers, and it'll be $150,000 order, let's say, for a product, but we're very small compared to everybody else in that company, in that particular company.
So it depends on the category, what category you're in.
Right. So this company, has a lot of, they do millions and millions of dollars probably every week. But okay, so it's better to be that big fish in a small pond kind of mentality with this. So, okay, so you're at 0%, but what do you think? And maybe you're not the right person to ask since you're there in China and you're with one factory and one product. But you think is it reasonable to say that you can have 30% down and then that other 70% with net 60-day terms, net 60 after it arrives to port in the U.S. after 1 year business with them? Is that pretty reasonable?
It's very reasonable, yes, and you can do it like a letter of credit for 60 days, 60 days net. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's workable, and it depends on how you negotiate it with them. It's totally workable. Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. One of the things I want to talk to you about, and this is a big one, especially with you, since you're in over a dozen different platforms, is building a brand and creating this very powerful brand, which we've talked about. It's super important. But how does somebody go about building a brand without completely destroying, like going way over their budget? How do you do it on a low end budget?
Well, at the first beginning, I just simply thought my brand can be recognized by Google. And Google, once I type my brand name on Google, and Google will show how many results that show my brand name in these kind of links. And at the first beginning, I started to sell on Amazon. It's not because of I thought I couldn't get any money any profit on Amazon platform, because the first intention that I got selling on Amazon is I can list my products on Amazon, and Amazon is friendly to Google. Google index Amazon's listing very well, and on the other hand, Amazon have a program called affiliate programs, and Amazon can recruit a large variety of bloggers, influencers, and website owners. These affiliators, they listed my products to their website, to their blogs, and to their YouTube videos, something like that. And they get the rebate, they get a commission. And based on this theory, I started selling on Amazon. But after that, it generates profits. Of course, it's no problem. And after that, as time goes by, I started to expand to more platforms such as these, like Walmart, Jet, Newegg, something like these platforms. These kind of platforms, they are very huge. They are very large platforms, websites in their countries. Google is very friendly to these websites. Google will index the listings, the web pages to these websites. Based on this theory, I started to sell on these platforms. And as time goes by, like 3, 4, 5 years later, Google will just totally index my products, totally index my brand name. And after that, I started to sell on Shopify website. I create my own website, and I just simply type my brand name on that and set my keywords, set up, and Google just simply index my main keywords to page 1 and page 2 without doing anything, without doing any advertisement. This is my experience.
Okay, so
about the brand building.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So basically, by going on all these different platforms, let's say you're on 10 different platforms, you're getting indexed for all of those on Google for backpacks or whatever it is that you're going after, the key term. So they don't even need to know your brand specifically. You're just going to start showing up for those searches.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's cool. And so you don't need a lot of money to do this. You just got to get on that platform. Is that right?
Of course. Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. That's a good idea.
But time is your money. Time is money, of course. You gotta leave them for a long time.
I know.
And Google will just recognize your brand name, recognize the keywords. They will combine together and let my brand name and the main keywords be relative. That will be a success.
Okay. Yeah. So over time, you'll start to see it build up. So
of course, yes.
Perfect. All right. I just have probably, I think, 2 more questions for you because this has been pretty awesome. And I'm going to put you again on the spot. We haven't talked about this, but if you had one ninja tactic that you could share that you implemented that you got really good results from, what would that be?
Well, Okay. Speaking of the tactics, when you launch a new product on Amazon and you don't know how to rapidly boosting your rankings, here it is. When you send your first batch of FB inventory, better you don't send much of them, maybe like dozens, like 2 dozen, like 50, whatever you want to send of inventory to the FBA, and let them sell, and maybe use whatever method you do to sell on Amazon. Maybe you use the reviewers for exchanging reviews, maybe something like that, and let them sell. Once they sells out, you calculate the timing very well and let them out of stock, and just set your price, your sales price, just a little bit higher, and you calculate the price, let them out of stock like 1 or 2 days, and let the FBA get into the stock again, and you rapidly set the price just a little bit lower than your original sale price, and your sales ranking will be rapidly boosted. That is a trick about manually operating the out of stock stuff.
All right,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. Let me see if I got this correctly. So you're only going to have a certain number. Let's say you have just 40 units. As you start to run out of stock, just before you run out of stock, you should start raising your price, right?
Just raising just a little bit.
So let's say, give me an example, like how much? Let's say you're selling it for
Like
$20.
$1, 1.5, something like that.
Okay, so you go from
Just increase
$20
just a
to
little bit.
$21. And does that matter? Is it on the last day, like the last hour before you go out of stock?
Last day, yeah.
The last day. So
Yeah.
you're down to like 3 or 4 units, and you'll go from $20 to $21. You run out of
Yes.
stock, and then your other shipment arrives, and just before you make it live, you put the inventory live again, you go back and you drop it to, let's say, $19, like a little below the 20.
Yes, correct.
And what does that do to the algorithm? What have you seen?
No, actually, there's no algorithm about that, because we found on Keeper. You heard about the Keeper extension.
Yeah.
You just simply find some example for those ASINs. Sometimes those ASINs be out of stock, and you will need to pull up the sales ranking, the chart, and the other one is your inventory, and you just simply pull up these two charts together, and you will see the gap of the out of stock period and the sales ranking, which is boost once you when your inventory get in stock, and lowering a little bit price.
And then do you go back up to the original price after a certain time? Or do you, or do you stay
no,
up?
I don't do the second time. I don't do it a second
So
time.
one time. So you run out of stock on purpose for all your products when you're launching?
Sorry?
Do you run out of stock on purpose every time you launch something new?
Yes.
Really? Okay. You're the first person I've ever talked to that does that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, you got to find some examples of the Amazon. Yeah, you got like some new ASINs to use the Keeper to check these charts.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to test that and see how that works. That's very interesting. Very, very good. Okay. So final question for you here. If you could go back in time, you jump into a time machine and you go back to talk to yourself 6 years ago when you were first starting this, what would be the advice that you give yourself?
Well, I would advise myself to launch more categories.
Yeah?
Yeah, because 2012 is a very nice year. In 2012, it is a very good year in Amazon. It just there's no competition about that, and you simply just put on a lot of product lines to Amazon and just sells. And listings quality, it depends on the year, how long you list it. As longer as you list it, the listing will be a high quality and very high ranking, and in a very good position in the Amazon PageRank. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, John, for coming on the show. If people want to reach you, what's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, just send me an email to iok@live.com. That's easy email.
Okay.
And there's you can find me on email, or you can just pin me on the Facebook for John Zhu. Yes.
Okay. All right. And you're in our FBA High Rollers group as well?
Yes, of course.
Okay, cool. And if you guys are in the Illuminati Mastermind, he's in there. He's active, so you can post in there as well. So, John, again, thanks for coming on the show. I know it's late over there. You're coming from China. We'll talk real soon. Thank you.
You've been listening to the AM/PM podcast hosted by Manny Coates. For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.